What are directives? What are the types of directives? I have broken this question in several small questions so that you can easily understand it. Here is the simplest definition of directive. Directive are classes that add additional behavior to elements in your Angular applications. For example, suppose you have an element button like this. Now the color of this button can be changed by the help of directives like this. Now directives are of many types. Here are the types of directives: structural directives, attribute directives, and component directives. These are all built-in directives which are provided by Angular. You can create and add your own custom directives, but that is a different case. The first one is structural directive. Structural directives change appearance of DOM by adding or remove any elements in it. For example, now suppose here is a list of some weekdays in your web page. Now adding one more item in this list can be done with the help of structural directive. ngIf, ngFor, and ngSwitch are the types of structural directives. We can discuss this in separate questions later. Now, attribute directives. The definition of attribute directive is: attribute directives change the appearance or behavior of the element. Above, the color change submit button example I gave already is the example of attribute directives only. ng class and ng styles are the types of attribute directives, which I will discuss in detail in upcoming questions. Then the last one is component directives. Component directives are the directives with its own templates. It means all the components where you have the HTML template are the types of directives only. So component is a type of directive only. This is the most used directive because components are used to display the first view. So this is the basic understanding of the directives. In upcoming questions, we will see more questions on different types of directives. If you have any question about this question, then please ask me in the comment section. What is ngIf structural directive? Let's first recap the structural directive definition. Structural directives are classes that change appearance of DOM by adding or removing elements. For example, in a list you can add or remove items with the help of structural directives. Now, as per structural directive definition, the ngIf directive is used to add or remove items based on the if condition. Now, let me show you in the code how this if condition works. Suppose in the app component we have field array of students with two students here, Harry and Happy. Now, this component has this HTML template. Now, if you see here, we have a list with two items. Now, as per the code, if student.length is greater than 0, then the first list item will be displayed, which is 2 students. If student.length is equal to 0, then the second list item will be displayed, which is 0 students. Let's run both the cases. Right now, we have 2 students, Harry and Happy. See the output in the browser. It is 2 students. Then let's remove those students from the list. Now go to browser. See, now we have 0 students. So the list items are displaying based on the if condition. So this is the job of ngIf structural directive. It will display items based on the condition written in the if condition. We will see some more structural directives in upcoming questions. What is ngFor structural directive? Let's see the definition first. The ngFor directive is used to iterate a list of items and then display them. If you know what is for loop, then it is like the same. Let me quickly show you in the code. See, in the app component, we have field array of student list with 2 students here, Harry and Happy. Now this component has this HTML template. Here we have this list item tag, and inside that we have written the syntax for ng for directive. This code will iterate every student inside the student list and then print the student. Do not worry about this double curly braces. This is interpolation data binding technique which will send data from app component to this HTML view. I will discuss this in detail in data binding questions. Now let's see the output of this in the browser. See, here we have the list of students here. So this is the use and the short story of ng4 directive. I hope you liked it, and if you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask. What is ng-switch structural directive? Let's see the definition first. ng-switch is an structural directive used in combination with ng-switch case and ng-switch default, and that both are also structural directives. If you are from Java C# background, then you already know how switch case works. If not, even then I will show you quickly in the code. So let's go to the code. See, same as ng4, here in the app component we have field array of student list with again two students here, Harry and Happy. Now in the HTML we will set the switch case like this. This ng-switch code will check the student list.length, which is the number of students present in the list. Right now we have 2 students in the list. So the ng-switch case equal to 2 case will be true. This condition will be true. Therefore the output will print the two students in the browser. Let me show you the same in the browser. See, the output is 2 students. So whatever condition of ng-switch case will be true, that output will be printed in the browser. Then what about this ng-switch default case? What is this? If none of the above ng-switch case are true, then this ng-switch default case will run. See, here we handled up to 2 students case, but if student numbers are 3, then this ng-switch default will execute and more students will be printed on the browser. So let me show you this. Let me add one more student Rami here. Now let's see the output in the browser. See, the output is more students in the browser. So that is because of this ng-switch default case. So ng-switch directive will display data on case-to-case basis. Whatever case is true will be executed. This is the story about the ng-switch directive. If you have any query, then please ask me in the comment section. What is ng-style attribute directive? Let's first recap the attribute directive definition. Attribute directive change the appearance or behavior of an element. Now here are the type of directives and then the type of attribute directives. We will only focus on ng-style directive in this question. So what is ng-style directive? ng-style is an attribute directive that updates styles for the HTML element. So this is the theory and one-line definition. Now let's see the code. See, this is the HTML template file of the component. Here we have a div and the style attribute. You remember the style attribute of HTML? Now this style attribute will set the background color of the div to red, right? Let me show you in the browser. See, here it is. I am happy with red color background. Now the ng-style can also do the same thing. This is the code for ng-style. The code format will be like this. ng-style in square brackets and the attribute setting will be in the curly brackets. But the output will be the same in the browser. See, both the outputs are same. Now going back to the code. The thing is now why we need ng-style over style attribute. What is the benefit of ng-style over style attribute? The reason is because style, this is an static implementation. This what we are doing until now is a static implementation, and in real-time projects, the attribute assignment will be dynamic, meaning something will be received in app component.ts file, and based on that we have to set the style here in the HTML file. Let me show you by setting the style property in TS file. See, if this is the code and we will know color name at runtime from component.ts file, then we have to set this color name something like this, like red in here in the component file. And then we have to pass this color name to the HTML file, and HTML file should be able to detect this color name. So that is possible with the help of ng-style directive like this. Here is the code. Here you are setting the color dynamically. This is the benefit of ng-style over normal HTML style attribute. So similarly, we can assign multiple attributes for ng-styles also, like this. So this is the short story of ng-style. Now we will cover the next directive, which is ng-class, and that is one step above ng-style. So let's see that in the upcoming question. What is ng-class attribute directive? We already covered attribute directive definition, then ng-style definition, and now we will cover ng-class definition. ng-class directive adds and removes CSS classes on an HTML element. Remember CSS classes. If you know how CSS class are set in HTML, then it is going to be very easy for you. Let me show you the same in the code. So now we already know this code inside app component HTML file, right? This is ng-style directive I have already explained in earlier questions. Now normally in a good and big project we do not set properties values like this. Instead of this we use CSS classes. That is the more right and cleaner way. Same here, we will use ng-class directive instead of ng-style. Let me paste the code which I have already copied. See, this is the code of ng-class. See, this is more simpler than ng-style. All of these properties are replaced by a single word class name. Now what is this class name? Right now it is showing error. For resolving this error, we have to set this in app component TS file, as we have set this in this for ng-style color name, similar to this only. Let me set it. I will remove the command and it is set now. Class name equal to red white class. This red white class is the CSS class which we have to set in the CSS file. Let me open the component CSS file and set this. See, here we have this red white class set as background color red and font color is white. Now if we will check the HTML template file, then the short story is ng-class directive is adding this CSS class in the div HTML with the help of app component and the component CSS file. So that is the single and short story of this ng-class directive. And now let me show you the output in the browser. See, the background color is red and the font color is white, which is as per the CSS class red white class. So this is the answer of this question. If you have any queries about this question, then please ask me in the comment section. Now let's do a recap of directives with differences question, because differences are the favorite questions of interviewers. What is the difference between component, attribute and structural directives? Let's see the first difference. The first difference is component directive is responsible for showing the first view of the component. It is the most used one. See, this is the component directive and here is the template attached to it. If you will remove this component directive, then the first view of component will not be displayed, and that's why it's the most used one. Then structural directive is responsible for adding and deleting HTML elements in the view displayed by the component directive. And at last, attribute directive is responsible for changing the appearance of view by adding or removing style CSS classes of the HTML elements. So all the three directives are related to each other by helping each other in creating a good and editable component. Next difference is about representation. Component directive starts with @ like @component. Structural directive starts with asterisk sign like *ngif, *ng4 and *ng switch. And then attribute directive set inside square brackets like *ng glass, ng style. So this is the quick answer of this question. If you have any question, then please ask me in the comment section.